Welcome back to the Vanderpod, the epic and enterprising podcast of Vandersnatch Books. We're a small press publisher of treasures found off the beaten path for lovers of all that is good, true, and beautiful. I'm Carolyn Claire Gibbons, and today I'm talking with Andrew Mackay about storytelling across media. Andrew Mackay, welcome to the Vanderpod.
Thank you so much for having me. I will say, Carrie, this is the first time I've been on any podcast.
I'm so proud.
I'm honored to have been invited. I mean, there is a question about your judgment because
well, we'll talk about the other guy that usually gets invited in your place because,
yeah,
it's part of the story. But I feel like you've got some insights that he's not going to have, and that's what we want to talk about.
Probably. Yeah, maybe. It's possible.
We'll get him on in some season.
There you go.
But, okay, so first tell us about you. Tell us about yourself, your background. Who are you, Andrew Mackay?
Who am I? I am Andrew Mackay. I'm the publisher at Storywarren. I make things come into being. I am Canadian by birth, and I live in southern West Virginia. And I have a wife and 2 kids, and my wife is Sam Smith's sister.
And in case someone doesn't know, Sam Smith is the author of the Green Ember books.
The Green Ember, yes. Yeah.
So he is S.D. Smith in written word.
Yes, you shouldn't ever call him SD. Or maybe you should. It'll make him laugh. And that's pretty good. Yeah, so Sam and I have been working together since the start of our website, storywarren.com. But we've been friends since I was 14 years old. He came to sub in. His older brother, Will Smith, was my youth pastor. And Sam came for a summer to sub in for Will. And Sam and I hung out, and we've been friends ever since. Yeah, so really didn't answer that question.
No, it does. Well, let's move on to talking about the Green Ember, because obviously between Storywarren and then Storywarren Books starts with the Green Ember. That's a massive part of your story. So tell me kind of the birth of the series and of you being part of publishing it.
Yeah, between Inkwell 1 and Inkwell 2. So Inkwell was an event that Storywarren put on with what was then Church at Charlotte, which is now City Church?
New City Church.
Sorry.
Don't worry. There's a City Church in town too. So,
Is there really?
We don't confuse anyone.
Okay. Yes. No. Super easy.
So, Andrew, we're just getting back into
We're editorial professionals, by the way. Like, that's the really impressive part. We're pros. We're pros at prose.
We're pros at prose. I always used to tell my English students when I would flub words, and they would be like, "You teach English?" I said, "I teach writing."
Yeah. So what is now New City Church, and we hosted kids and creatives to give kids the opportunity to learn about songwriting, poetry, writing books. Andrew Peterson talked to them about that. And illustration. So it was a real who's who. It was, Andrew Peterson,
Randall Goodgame,
Zach Franzen, Rebecca Reynolds.
That's right.
So kind of a murderer's row.
Right.
Really. And then there were all of us who volunteered to try to make the thing happen. And it was so much work.
It was so much work.
It was so
It was also
much
so
work.
much fun.
It was so fun. Yeah, we had a really good time. I'll just be candid. The events business, it turns out, really hard to do well.
True.
And so we did those 2 events. They were delightful, but they did not make money.
No.
Nobody got paid. Expenses got reimbursed mostly, I think, but nobody got paid.
So, yeah. The first Inkwell was 2014.
That feels right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my church hosted you all for Inkwell.
Yeah.
So I kind of, by default, became the person who knows the building and therefore extra volunteer.
Yeah, you got roped all the way in, and
loved it.
It was a great, and yeah, so got to know Carrie that first year. We had an Inkwell 2, and so by Inkwell 2, Carrie and my whole family were friendly enough that we crashed at Carrie's house, and we've been friends ever since. And Carrie, you might not know, writes a great newsletter for Storywarren called The Warren in the World.
I do.
Which I think I wrote for 8 months.
Yeah, because I picked it up in between the two inkwells. So I picked it up
Okay.
somewhere in that late 2014. And we are now on volume 13. And I think I started on volume 2.
2, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that newsletter is now sunsetting.
Right.
So
thank you for your faithful
You're
long
welcome.
service.
for me, putting a newsletter together, an email newsletter together, it's something I do a lot in my day job.
Right. You might call you a newsletter ninja at this point.
I mean, sorta. If I just need to get it done and just crank down and don't, get distracted, I can knock that thing out in about 25 minutes.
That's amazing. That's great.
So,
yeah.
So there's a system. We've built things in place, and it's a lot of fun. It's been a great way to be able to contribute to something that I believe in Story Warren, without it taking a massive portion of my capacity.
Yeah, I know you think this is a podcast recording, but actually this is an intervention. You have too many jobs.
I mean, yeah. There's a few things this fall that I was like, I'm going to say no.
Oh, way to go. That's such a hard lesson to learn. I think a thing that we have in common is that we are both the kinds of people who like to get things done.
Yes.
So I can help functions to happen.
Right.
And I feel good about making those things happen, which is great. But there is a finite number of those things that I can possibly accomplish. And I'm feeling my finitude.
I know.
I don't even know if that's a word.
It is.
Again, we're professionals with pros. I'm feeling my finitude these days for sure.
Yeah.
And so we were having ongoing conversations about the kinds of things we wanted to do in the world. Sam and I were working on trying to understand if there was actually a business to be run at Story Warren. And one of the things that both Sam and I wanted to do was write books for kids and families especially, and publish books to kids and families. And so early, around the time of Inkwell 1, we had the conversation that hey, we need to be thinking about finding a book we could publish. And we're both very much of the mind that it needed to not be from either of us. That was the ground rule we had set was, can't be either of us, but we need to find a great book and publish it and just see, because I had the skills, we were developing the audience. Sam had a voice that was, reaching more and more families. We're like, we could do this. In that time, Sam was writing various things that have been published, some things that haven't been published, some things that are about to be published. That's exciting. But he, at some point, finished the manuscript for The Green Ember, and we were having a regular Story Warren meeting, and he said, would you want to read this? And I said, well, yeah, obviously. And one of my gifts, I'm not a great editor, I am a great reader. And so I read it really quick. And Carrie, I mean, how many manuscripts have you read in your life? Many. Right? Me too. This is the only time that my spidey senses have tingled as something special happened there. It's happened one time, and I called Sam and I said, I think we got to do this. And he initially was like, we've said we're not going to, it can't be one of ours.
Right.
And we pushed through to no, this will be the thing. So he set about on an edit. He had met Zach Franzen, who at the time was doing art for Bob Jones University Press textbooks. So, if you need somebody to draw Abraham Lincoln, Zach is the guy. It turns out in textbooks, you don't usually have to draw rabbits with swords.
It's true.
Yeah, it just doesn't come up very often. Yeah. And so if only the folks at BJU Press had known that he was a savant for rabbits with swords, they could have had all the success.
What could they have done?
I mean, it's a whole educational program, I'm sure. And so Zach set about working on art, and we ran a Kickstarter, and truly the extent of our genius business planning was we were going to produce 1,000 copies in hardcover and 1,000 copies in softcover. And if we could sell all of those in 18 months, we would make all our money back and our wives wouldn't be dismayed. That was the hope. And the Kickstarter funded inside of 24 hours. And then ended up exceeding its goal. I think it doubled its goal. And then right out of the gate, the response to that book was just remarkable. And not anything, again, my spidey senses tingled, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
People, kids were loving the book. Moms were loving reading the book to their kids. And so we were back on press. We shipped the first books in November that year. You came for a Kickstarter party, didn't you?
I came for the Kickstarter launch party, which was a celebration because it was successfully funded by the time we were having the launch.
Yeah. So we shipped books in November of that year. We were back on press in December.
Wow.
We were back on press again in February, and we were back on press twice more that year. And
that's when you decided maybe we need to print more at a time.
These quantities are not quite working. But the early stuff, we didn't have anywhere to receive a pallet of books. We didn't have anywhere to store a pallet of books. Everything was happening out of my basement on the side of a hill in Crab Orchard, West Virginia at the time. And truly, to some extent, the story of our business has been chasing that ever since, trying to keep up with the demand.
Right.
And of course, Sam keeps on writing. We've published books by other people like Glenn McCarty, which you've got a new Glenn McCarty title.
We do.
And I am
The Song of the Stone Tiger.
Only part way into the book, but I am very intrigued. Glenn's wonderful.
Glenn is wonderful.
Yeah. That's a really lovely opening to the book, and I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So we've done other things along the way, but most of it has been chasing there's a tremendous appetite for rabbits with swords. And it keeps
Who
on.
knew?
Yeah,
Bob Jones clearly didn't know.
Yes, no, for sure.
So the newest thing in the Story War and Green Ember world is video games.
Yeah. How about video games?
So I would love to hear about what that is, and then I've got some questions just about thinking through transitioning.
Oh man, yes.
Story.
I have partial answers, and I know how we've ended up here, but I also am somewhat flummoxed. So I am the Story Warren team nerd. There's an alternate universe. If there were alternate universes, there's an alternate universe where Andrew Mackay makes video games for sure.
Okay.
I grew up on Legend of Zelda, Mario, Sonic, I am such a nerd. And Sam was much more the sports kid. And so it is funny that now here we are making a video game. A couple of years ago, we were having many discussions about a movie or an animated series around the Green Ember, and we could not quite find the right partnership that made it feel like that would be what we wanted it to be.
Right.
And feel some level of stewardship around, well, we all know the books are always better. Right. And there are these horrendous adaptations, whether it's that early Lord of the Rings cartoon or the Watership Down cartoon or it goes on and on.
Yeah.
One of those investor, interested in doing the media thing said, well, would you consider a video game as maybe a place where we could test this? And we thought, well, I don't know, we'd have to find the right development company. But it just so happened that we had done a test. A big thing when you go to do an animated adaptation is, how do these characters move? And rabbits that are anthropomorphized are particularly tricky. They don't move like humans, but they don't move like rabbits either.
No.
There's some middle ground that has to be found. Sam and Josiah had met the guys from Brazen Animation along the way, and Brazen did an animation test for us that was all built around, can we make a rabbit run right? Can we make this look good? And so through talking with all these parties, we came to let's make a video game. But then it was, what do you make into a video game? Right? Because we have the Green Ember. That's Heather and Pickett's story. It's complete. Do you make a video game out of that? Is that a compelling video game? And video games have to be fun. And they also have to be reasonably story-oriented
Mm-hmm.
So we had all those conversations, and what kind of started to coalesce was there's a fan favorite character who Sam has wanted to tell the backstory of for a long time, named Helmer. When we ran a poll sometime last year asking people who their favorite character was, and my assumption was that Heather and Pickett would be somehow 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
and Helmer far and away bested both of them. Everybody loves Helmer. Everybody loves Helmer. Sam's been cooking on this idea for how to tell Helmer's backstory. And so then it became, okay, could we adapt that both as, like, let Sam write the book, but also have Sam write the story arc for the video game? And we hope that launching a video game and a book will do 2 things. One, we hope it'll help the video game to get a little bit more attention than it would get on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But 2, there's a lot of boys especially, but kids playing video games and not reading.
Right.
We're hoping that maybe the video game can pull them into maybe reading. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the heart anyway, is like, let's make something that's generous to the audience, that's kind, that doesn't have advertising, doesn't have microtransactions, all the things that parents care about.
Mm-hmm.
But then at its core, it's got to be super fun, and it's got to be a compelling experience. And the book has to be good too. And I think we've accomplished all that. I mean, ultimately time will tell, but that's kind of how we got here.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. As you think about the differences between shepherding a story to print versus shepherding a story to a video game, what have you noticed?
Yeah. Well, so video games share a lot of the constraints of other visual media. So video games are much more constrained, right? Every setting is a new set. Every character is another thing that has to be designed, animated, thought about. And so it's much more constrained, and constraints are frustrating, and constraints are also a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So it forces you to think about the kind of story you're telling. That in a book, we'll go off on a little journey and we'll go down a trail, and the video game guys are like, who's going to design the trail, dude? How are we making this happen? And so there is this delicate dance where you want them to feel like they're complementary.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be the same thing. They can't. Okay. In fact, they can't be the same thing.
Right.
But you want the video game to have the best parts of the story from the book, and you want the story that ends up in the book to have the best elements of fun ported over from the video game. And trying to find that balance is really hard. Sure enough, it did eventually become visually beautiful and super fun to play, and all the right things I think are coming together. But it's scary long. It's much less linear than a book's development.
Right.
A book's development, somebody writes it, and then I look at it and I give notes and we fix it, and then we just step through the process. Video games, not linear that way. So
interesting.
That's
so interesting. Well, you guys did a Kickstarter back in the spring for this, and now it is in production. So how can people still get in on the fun?
Yeah, so book and video game are both about to launch. So video game launch date is November 18th, and book, we're still landing the plane. It's somewhere early November on Amazon, and earlier than that probably from us. You can now order the book independently, and you can get the video game on Steam, so you can add it to your wish list on Steam, which if you're a nerd, you're like, I know what that means. And if you're not a computer game playing nerd, you're like, that's totally opaque to me. That's okay. Don't worry about it. The game will also be coming out on mobile, and then, Lord willing, if everything works together, we'll get a Switch version eventually, and that's the most exciting. That will be so cool for so many families. That tends to be the console that's in the basement for many families. So, but November 18th on Steam for Mac and PC, the video game will come out, and then there's Helmer in the Dragon Tomb. Green Ember Helmer in the Dragon Tomb is the title of the book, and it should be out mid-November. and it's good. It's like a good introduction to Helmer. So Helmer in the Green Ember series is this old, gruff, grizzled veteran, and
Hmm.
Helmer in Helmer in the Dragon Tomb is young and naive and not yet a fighter. He's a farmer who
Yeah.
gets pressed into action, and so I'm so excited for people to read it. It's going to be a really good time.
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. I will say I'm personally less excited about the video game side of it just because video games tend to give me motion sickness.
Oh yeah, sure. Well,
So I don't play them very much.
no, that makes
But
sense. You can try off-label. A good use for Benadryl is fighting motion sickness. So I'm just saying you can pop a couple Benadryl. Try not to fall asleep.
I'm like, the last time I took Benadryl, I am a tall person.
Hmm.
I took a children's Benadryl and slept for 12 hours.
Okay, so that's probably not going to work. Well, this has been a challenge of this whole process. Is a thing I probably underestimated is like most book people are not video game people, and most video game people are
Right.
not book people. And so we are trying something that's maybe a little bit absurd to some percentage of the Green Ember audience is like, why bother with a video game? And some percentage of the video game audience is like, wait, there's a book. Why would you need a book? Now, I grew up, so let me tell you, there were these bad novelizations of NES games. There was a bad novelization of a game called Blaster Master that I think I read 14 times. It wasn't good prose, it wasn't good it wasn't good anything, but it was a story about a game that I was playing and I was so excited.
Right.
And so I'm here for the nerds who are like, no, I will read it and I will play it.
I love that.
There are dozens of us, I'm sure.
I'm sure there are probably more than dozens.
Could
So
be.
that's awesome. All right. Well, let's move
Sure.
you. So tell me a little more about your background as a publisher slash in the book world in general.
Sure. So I'm an embarrassed college dropout. I dropped out of college to take a job with what I thought was a small press. And what ended up being actually like a sweatshop vanity press.
Ooh.
But I didn't know those terms. I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
And the terrible thing about that was that they weren't doing very good work. The wonderful thing about that was that I was young and wanted to learn, and everybody who worked there was burnt out and didn't want to work. So when it came time to learn the editing process, I could ask questions and hear from grizzled vets and like learn some skills. And
Mhm.
likewise with typesetting, cover design, print buying, even Library of Congress cataloging and publication, like all the things.
Right.
The people who were there doing those jobs had some level of, oh, this young kid wants to do it. God bless him. Let's let him do it. And so I learned so much in those couple of years.
Yeah.
And then I have stayed in and around the book world ever since. So I've done things as broad as selling print for like a big printer, running a nonprofit that was running a publishing program. I've done a variety of things that have kept me in books,
Hmm.
but I've never had like the big traditional job. I didn't put in my time at Moody or Bethany House Publishers, but I've always, my whole career with two short exceptions has been somehow book associated. And I love working near books. I love the smell of a printing press floor,
Uh-huh.
just all of it. I get really romantic about every part of this job.
I love that. I love that. So my parents were in communications media for a mission agency, and that was the, 80s and 90s, therefore print much more than digital at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time in elementary school, my dad took me out of school for a day to take me to a press check.
That's so cool.
And it was like the smell of
Yeah.
being on the print floor and the massive machine doing the printing.
It's so cool.
Listeners, if you can find a traditional offset printer, it would be a fascinating homeschool lesson to learn more about printing and the background. It's a really cool history. And
Yeah.
it's really cool.
It's tremendous. So my dad was deaf, and deaf education in the 50s and 60s was mostly vocationally oriented.
Yeah.
And so he grew up being trained for working in a press room.
Okay.
And so many of the things that you and I now do electronically, Carrie,
right.
my dad did with his hands, with scissors, glue, compositing the various pieces that needed to go into a newspaper,
right,
and setting it up to take the picture that would become film, that would become plate, that would become press sheet. And so I have this recollection of being very young and getting dragged to like a see what dad does at work day. Same thing, the smells, the sounds, and of course, as I grew up, starting to understand that, like, for my dad, the smells were there, but the sounds were not, right?
Oh,
like,
that's true.
Kind of the ideal press employee because he's not bothered. That stuff keeps on running, and he's like, I'm fine. So, yeah, I cherish those memories. I do have moments of the very thing that I do is the thing that cost my dad all of his work. So that's a bummer, but it wasn't me. It was like Microsoft, Quark, and Adobe did that, I think. So I won't take personal responsibility.
Yep. But I mean, literally some of it I can do on a phone.
I know. It's so crazy. Yeah, this job has changed so much.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, okay. So we Bandersnatch Books just celebrated 5 years this fall.
Congratulations. That's such a big deal.
Thank you. Thank you. And so first off, you've been an incredible resource to us the whole way along. So thank you.
Of course.
The number of times that I've been like, you know what, we should just ask Andrew Mackay. And one of us has gotten on a call with you and picked your brain about whatever.
Oh, so glad to help wherever I can, for sure.
So you're a little further down the road than we are. Mm-hmm. As we look ahead, what is your advice for the future?
So a couple things. One, you love and serve your readers so well. Mm. Don't lose track of that. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. I think in general, customers don't care very much about who published a book. Mm. In terms of most people aren't going out and like, oh, look at the logo bug, I'm going to buy that book. But they do care about the care that a publishing team has brought to a book. They might not be able to name the things,
right? Like
widow and orphan control in laying out pages. Readers don't know necessarily what a widow or an orphan is, but they know when they're reading a book that feels like it's not right.
Right.
And so for the reader who might be curious about what a widow or an orphan is, widows and orphans are single lines from paragraphs that flow over to the next page and single words from in a paragraph that get left on their own line. And when you're laying out a book, you're doing everything you can to avoid widows and orphans. And sometimes you still can't fix them all. But I love the feel of a book that you can tell somebody cared and somebody did a good job laying this out.
Yeah, just to give an example to everyone of how Andrew and I geek out about this simultaneously. The final Green Ember book of the main four. Ember Rising?
Ember's End.
Ember's End. Sorry. Hi, I know the Green Ember books.
Almost like you have 14 jobs. I don't know.
But the final book, I was getting right to the end, and there's this great reveal in, like, it's essentially an epilogue, right? Like, very, very, very end. And the reveal happens on the turn of a page. And I, like, turned the page. It was like, oh my goodness, that's genius. And it literally is, like, an intentional widow or orphan, whichever.
Yeah.
No one's quite sure which of those things.
No, this is true. Yeah.
No,
we worked so hard for that one.
And I texted Andrew and I was like, who did the layout? Knowing it was probably him, but wanted to, not make assumptions. And his response was, what did I miss? And I said, no.
Also faithful.
I said, no. I just need you to know that I noticed that you worked hard to make this exciting moment happen with the turn of a page, and it was glorious and well done.
Thank you. And so to Bandersnatch, like all these small things that go into developing a book, supporting an author in launching a title, all that stuff that you guys are doing well. Stay faithful to that. Don't grow weary in doing that good work. Not only is it what Jesus calls us to, but it also is like this beautiful thing that you guys are doing well. And so I would say don't lose track of that. That serves the audience. All those little things that they can't even name, like widows and orphans, all of that matters, and keep on doing well at that. Kind of the necessary backside to that is don't lose track of what you value. It can be tempting to try to do a lot. And I would just say don't lose track of like your commitment to finding riches in the niches, finding those beautiful books that exist deep in places that many publishers won't go. That's awesome. Don't lose track of it, and keep on doing it, and keep on finding those things. And the likelihood is that eventually some title will work in a way that's really spectacular and that totally kicks your butt.
Right.
And that will be a wonderful set of problems to face.
Right.
But if you're focused on your core mission, that won't be super distracting. That'll just be additive to what you're doing. Yeah, so keep on doing the good work. Don't lose track of like what it is that you value, because you're doing a good job of that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we're going to change tone now.
Okay.
And I have questions I have not allowed you to prepare for. There are not wrong answers to these questions.
I'm such a middle child. I will feel like there are wrong answers, but that's fine.
There are not. There are
We'll
not.
try.
Well, I mean, I guess one of them is a fact.
Oh.
I know you have lived in several places.
Uh-huh.
How many countries have you lived in?
See, we're about to spark an international incident.
Okay.
Because the answer is only either 2 or 3.
Okay.
And the answer depends on which kind of Puerto Ricans you're hanging out with. So I lived in Puerto Rico for 8 years, and there is a healthy part of that population that would say that they are an independent country. A healthy part of that population that would say that they're an independent country that is also a territory of the United States. And a healthy part of that population that wishes they were simply the 51st state. So depending on which of those you're talking to.
Okay.
2 or 3.
Gotcha.
Missionary kid for 8 years, but in one.
The other 2 then being Canada and
the United States.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
those 3.
not a big international traveler.
All right.
Just a foreigner. Yeah. Yeah. Not much of a world traveler. Yep.
All right. Your kids are a bit older now, so you probably aren't doing quite as many family read-alouds these days as you did when they were younger. But
sure.
Think back. What has been your favorite book to read aloud to your kids?
Okay. There were many that were a delight. But Goodnight Construction Site with Luke when he was 3. The cadence of that book, the excellence of the execution. If you have a 3-year-old boy, that might be perfect.
I love it.
I don't know that there was anything that touched Goodnight Construction Site.
I love it. Excellent.
So there you go. Yeah, that's...
excellent.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite working beverage?
So it's either vanilla Coke or just black coffee.
Okay.
Black coffee wins more, but every once in a while, vanilla Coke really.
Coke. Is it a time of day question for you?
No.
I mean, they're both caffeinated.
Yes. A place where I'm maybe a little bit dysfunctional is I'll drink a cup of coffee at 10 p.m. and sleep just fine.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm like the inverse of Benadryl. Or maybe I am Benadryl.
There you go. You just need to counteract.
No amount of caffeine will keep me awake. Human Benadryl.
I love it. What book are you currently reading, if any?
So I'm reading Glenn McCarty's new book, The Song of the Stone Tiger, and I'm really excited about that.
Excellent.
I also usually have some sort of nonfiction book going. So we're doing a book called Daily Theology by Kevin DeYoung for church. And so I'm reading that. Uh-huh. And then The Last Dragon on Mars. Last Dragon on Mars was a New York Times bestseller last year. Middle grade is not dead, as much as publishers might tell you it is. The sequel to that comes out this next month, and I'm very excited about that. The first book was very good. So
I love it. One final question, and I think you're going to really enjoy this one. Why should people get into the sport of curling?
Oh, Carrie, you've reached way down into my heart. So listen, curling is a sport that only really ends up on people's radar every 4 years when the Winter Olympics happen, which it just so happens that we're in the lead up to an Olympic cycle.
It's true.
It's coming up. Curling's a sport that started in Scotland with people literally throwing rocks down ice. Traditionally, you played this on a pond or a river, and on ponds and rivers, there are sticks falling from trees. And so somebody started to go, oh, hey, if we sweep the sticks and the pebbles out of the way, the rocks will get to where they're supposed to go. So the thing many people don't know, curling ice is not flat. It's pebbled. So they drop hot water on it, and it has all these little bumps. And then they sweep to create some friction to warm that pebble and allow the stone to travel farther or to curl differently. It's wonderfully intricate, and it's also pretty decent to watch. Like, it's pretty exciting. They play 8 or 10 ends. There are characters among the people who regularly curl. As I'm sure you know, Brad Gushu, my favorite curler, announced that this is his last year as a professional curler. We were all heartbroken. I'm sure there was mourning in your house too. No? So curling's great to watch. It'll break your heart, like every sport will, like baseball will, like everything will. It'll break your heart. And it's just delightful to me. I'm here for all the curling. So there are Olympic qualifying events coming up, and then the Olympics, and it's going to be a blast. You should watch curling this year.
I love it. Yeah. This is the year that curling has a spike in popularity.
For sure. And you'll be surprised, like, there's a curling facility in Charlotte, North Carolina. Carrie, you can run a church staff
curling event. You know what? I need to recommend this to our people and culture director.
Everyone will probably only fall once.
See? We did whitewater rafting together this summer, so...
I mean, curling is almost as death-defying as whitewater rafting, I would say. I feel like that's faithful.
I think so.
I love it. So it really is funny when... Like, I just did a really poor job of articulating why I love it so much. But curling on... Maybe it's helpful that it's one of those things that you can have on in the background and, and check in on and not be fully engaged with. It's fascinating to me. Like, there are differences between the women's game and the men's game. There are great teams in both that you can, like, cheer for. There's drama in curling. Like, everybody's mad. It's basically curling is like the World Wrestling Federation, but on Benadryl, which makes sense as to why I would love it.
That's amazing.
This has been an interview with Andrew Mackay, who is human Benadryl.
Oh, my word. All right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, what a joy to be with you. Thanks for having me, Carrie. I have now recorded my first ever podcast.
You have. Well done. Well done.
We made it.
All right. Well, listeners, we're going to say farewell. May you find bookish treasures in your wanderings off the beaten path. Thanks for listening in to our conversation today on the Banderpod. We hope you'll check out our full catalog at bandersnatchbooks.com. The Banderpod is produced by Rachel S. Donahue, A.B. Donahue, and Carolyn Claire Gibbons. Audio engineering by S.D.G. Morgan. Artwork by Evelyn Warnamendi. Many thanks to our friend Chris Slayton of Son of Laughter for our theme song, Cricket in a Jar. Find links and more in the show notes.